guys, Youngblood with you, and today I wanted to give the information that we have on the new X1 and then add in some of my personal speculations on what this ship is probably going to be. Now with the speculation, keep in mind that we don't know a lot about specifics until Friday, with maybe a little bit more information coming on Thursday when we get what'll probably be an early Warbond only sale or maybe a little sneak peek in around the verse. But what I will say is that when it came to the Nox, I was pretty much spot on with that expectation, so we'll see if I can get that close again. So what we do know is that it's going to be going on sale on Friday the 29th with 3 variants being up for sale, ranging between 40 to 50 bucks. It's an Origin space bike described as an open canopy racer that has a dynamic design and striking silhouette, which means it's flashy Origin space bike, which we probably should have expected. Now in this category, there's 2 real competitors, being the Aopoa Nox and the Drake Dragonfly. The overall design of the X1 is nice looking, but it's a little bit odd at the same time. The pilot almost appears to be in somewhat of a standing configuration, with the legs appearing to be visible at the bottom behind some sort of canopy for protection. Now I do have some questions and maybe concerns about that design, especially if the bike is meant to break apart like we've seen with some of the other bikes when it sustains damage, to a point to where if your shields drop and you lose power, your legs may be likely to take more damage, but you may not survive a crash like that anyways at higher speed, so it may not matter. The bike looks to feature a single size 1 weapon mount on the front. It could be a size 2, but using the pilot as some perspective, it appears to be about 2 meters long, which matches the M3A laser weapon. Now, if that is a 2 meter long weapon, then the length of the X1 is probably about 6 meters long, which would be very similar to the Nox. Some work in progress images also make the X1 look a little bit wider than the Nox, but those aren't final images, so I could say that this is probably going to be a little bit heavier with potentially more engine output as a result. It also appears to have a back canopy covering a visible engine, taking a cue from the M50's dorsal area, which is also an Origin craft. Now, what makes things interesting is that when the Dragonfly was released, we started hearing about it being an open canopy racer, but with these 2 new additions, both seem like they're likely going to outclass the Dragonfly by a large margin in a pure race, with the Drake ship being more catered to overall utility. What we know when we compare the Aopoa ships to the Origin ships is that Origin is more focused on pure speed, while Aopoa tends to try and combine that with superior agility. I would guess what we'll see is kind of similar performance on these bikes, with the X1 being our fastest racer in pure speed, but the Nox may end up seeing an advantage in overall maneuverability while not being much slower. It also looks like there's not any cargo space on this bike, at least from the initial images, which does seem to make this a close comparison to the Nox from a usage standpoint. Durability-wise, the Dragonfly is likely going to take the cake, with both the Nox and the X1 being a bit more fragile, but both of them winning from an outright strafing and attacking perspective, and possibly with higher components meaning less likely to break down or kind of take wear and tear issues than the Dragonfly as being a Drake. So I'm not real sure what to make of the variants though, as it does seem like it's mostly focused in on that racing aspect. So we know that one variant is likely going to be focused on that, possibly sacrificing the front weapon for an advanced intake, which would help you replenish your boost fuel a little bit quicker. I think we'll also see a combat version of the bike that may come equipped with better shields or potentially some armor, or it might be the only variant that actually has the weapon up front. Although I think it's unlikely to see that all the variants don't have a weapon. I think it's more likely that just one doesn't, being the racer. I think the last one that we could consider would be an exploration variant or a recon if we learned anything from the Cyclone variant varieties. But it does make sense to include an exploration version if we know the X1's coming stock with the exploration version of the 600i. It would kind of help facilitate some of that planet-side exploration. So those would be my 3 guesses right now as far as the variants go, probably saying Racer at 40 bucks, Exploration at 45, and the Combat at 50. So we'll see how close that turns out to be, but it adds something considering the Nox only has a cosmetic variant. This actually has, physical probably different versions of equipment on board. So just so that we... I guess the important thing here is we don't know what we don't know, and we don't know a whole lot about it at this point, but I'll be covering it in a whole lot more detail as we get more information, so be sure to stick around for that information coming soon, including a should you buy video towards the end of the week. Let me know if you have questions. I'd love to see what you guys think about the ship. Otherwise, have a great day, and take care.